everybody. I'm Rayceen Pendarvis, and I'm here with Thembi Duncan, actor, author, activist. She's a total Renaissance woman. So tell us, we'll just jump right into it. So tell us about some of the things you've been doing during this COVID-19 experience. How have you been creating?
Oh my gosh. The thing that I've been focusing on most is just centering myself and understanding where I might fit moving forward after COVID. Some of the folks I've been talking to are folks who've created work before COVID and have now found that they have to share the work differently. And so I've been producing Zoom readings for playwrights, attending Zoom readings, creating all kinds of experiences over Zoom in different ways, in different capacities. One of those is working with Tom Minter, a great playwright who's also a mentor of mine, for his play called By Me Nobody Knows. And it's a really interesting story about Blackness, but the Black experience that is within and among Black people, different generations, and what respectability means to different generations, and what bougie means to different generations, right? And how and what's acceptable in terms of identity, depending on who you talk to, all within the Black community. A lot of times plays will focus on the sort of Black-white dynamic. And what's really interesting to me and worth exploring about this play is that this is really all the shades and colors of what happens internally. And that's a lot of our stuff we don't necessarily like to talk about out in the street.
Yeah,
so.
Complex and very layered.
Very layered. So I love that. And just exploring what it's like to have readings over Zoom and really still tap into those characters, because it was a play that wasn't written with the intention of being on Zoom, right? There's so many people who are now trying to create content for Zoom, but then there are those of us who are saying, okay, well, theater will continue when we're safe. So we want to continue to just use Zoom as a tool, not as the end of the story or the end all be all, but as a tool to continue sharing work. And that's what we've been doing.
That's amazing. I think it's amazing how actors and playwrights and, and the theater world has rallied in the heart of we shall survive, and we will overcome in this new norm that we're dealing with. And you were also a part of this wonderful production with Brave Souls Collectives. Tell us a little bit about that.
So recently I posted a picture on Instagram from the first time I performed a piece called My Sweet Black Babushka by Josette Murray. And it was something that just, I don't know, the photograph is me in this passionate stance telling this really incredible story of, and this is a fictional narrative of a woman who shoots a cop after that cop shot her son and killed her son. And so, yeah, it's very, very intense. And it's something that, as you can imagine, would be very controversial, very passionate piece. And it's a one woman piece, and it's about 10, 15 minutes long. And so I shared that image, and then Monty Wolf, who runs Brave Soul Collective, saw that picture. I tagged him. I also tagged Josette, the writer. And then we got back into a conversation from that. And so Monty was already he had some upcoming things that he was going to do. And he decided, yeah, I think that piece needs to be revisited. So we ended up pulling that, and plus a piece that I wrote called See Her, about Black trans women who had been harmed and murdered. And we brought those pieces back. It was really powerful because we were able to record the pieces in Zoom. Whereas before, usually it's ethereal. If you are not in the space when it happens, you don't get to see it, right? All I had was the picture from before. But this time we were able to record and share it. And Monty was able to put it on the Brave Soul Collective website. So that was an interesting experience. And I have to say, as an actor, it was definitely different because I wasn't really acting the piece. I was really just sharing the piece. It was more from my heart, and it was a love letter and a recognition and an acknowledgement that that we have to do better by everybody in our community, and that all of us have work to do, and none of us gets to just kind of I don't want to say play the victim. That's not the terminology I want to say, but like we all have support, and we all have a need and a duty to support each other and stand up for each other. And there's a crisis that's been happening really for years, what's been happening to trans women, and we've just got to be better about speaking up about it and doing our best to put a stop to it, because it's horrible. So that was really, where my heart came from there.
And it's so important. I think people never fully understand the importance of the trans experience. And if you say that Black lives matter, all lives matter. And when we do a disservice when we don't address the issues of how Black trans men and women are being killed at alarming rates. And unfortunately, many are being misgendered. And because of that, their numbers are not being counted. And they feel as if their lives do not matter as a part of this struggle, but it is so important.
And it's, like you said, all of these Black lives have to be included in this narrative. You can't just pick and decide which Black people matter more, because that's no different than all lives matter folks to me. And we, I think as a community must fight for every member of the community, and especially, like you said, Black trans men and women, because if any part of the community is under attack in that way, it's on us to do something about it. Because toxic masculinity, racism, the ignorance, hate, and people not dealing with their own issues in and of themselves has so much to do with this. And if we don't open up those issues and talk about those issues, people are going to keep trying to blame what they're doing on the people they're doing it to, and it's not right. It's just not, it's terrible. So we, Monty wanted to put these 3 pieces on Zoom. The third piece was a piece written by Jared Schamberger about a police officer who was sort of struggling with being a part of a machine, the police force that was doing damage to people like him. He was a Black gay man, and just trying to reconcile that. So there was a monologue about that. So the idea was to use drama and use monologue and use storytelling as a tool for activism. And I was really proud of how it turned out.
I wasn't, when it first aired, I wasn't able to see it, but then I went back and I was like, wow, so people, we have to sit in these experiences, because I think theater is one of those things that you have to experience. Folks say, oh, I just can't, I can't sit that long. I can't do that. They find every excuse, but once they get into the room, and they feel that experience of live theater, something about it, or even through Zoom, you feel it. You feel that energy, that power of the words, the actor, everything, you feel it. And it's just, oh my God, I can't explain it. It's like a high without taking a drug.
Really is. It really is. It's, for me, if I'm on stage and I'm hitting that sweet spot, I'm channeling. There's a point where I'm not even really doing anything anymore. It's just coming through me, and I'm just being the vessel. I'm just opened up and letting the words and the text and the experiences come through me, and allowing that to connect to the audience members. And that's a really beautiful space to be in. And you're right, that no venue, there's nothing that can do it like theater can.
It's nothing. Yeah. I love theater. If you had to, which is very hard, if you had to say, I always ask people what are like your favorite theater pieces. There's so many that have been done, but if you had to pick your top 3 or 3 that have moved you or made you just feel oh my God, they're unforgettable pieces, what would they be?
Are these pieces that I have had some part in?
Either some part or pieces that you did, or anything,
Okay. So I have to say, I guess for me, when I think about things that I've experienced, I actually think the piece that I did, and you were a part of this, you were supporting us with so many resources, so much consultation and support and sort of dramaturgy of the piece. The piece was really interesting and complex and layered. And I'm not saying it just because I wrote it, but it was layered. Powerful. It was layered on top of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, the classic film and the cult classic film, but reimagined with Black cisgendered men playing the sisters, but set in New York in the 90s in the ball scene, but calling back to the 70s. It was a very ambitious piece, but I loved it so much because in making the piece happen, and we've produced the piece several times, right, with Brave Soul Collective, and making the piece happen, it caused so many of us to come together and explore ball culture. You taught us so much. You taught the actors so much about how to just have a certain presence and how to really sell those characters. And it was just such a fun and outlandish project. I enjoyed being able to color all the way outside the lines.
And you did. It was an amazing piece. It was an amazing piece. It was truly wonderful. But other than that, maybe I would say as a child, let me go back there. As a child sitting in theater, what was, if you had to think of 2 other pieces or maybe 3 other pieces as being someone in the audience that moved you?
Now, the Great White Hope with James Earl Jones, I want to say was either at Arena or Kennedy Center back in the day. I have to remember what it was, but my parents took me and I was so riveted with the piece that I was asking questions out loud during the show. And well, what's happening here? And why is this happening? And people are like, shh, shh, shh. You know, they had to kind of walk me out for a little bit and be like, listen, so you can't just keep asking questions. To me, the idea of a piece that that investigates race, a piece that investigates identity, to me, that was the most powerful because it led me to explore not only writing certain pieces, but participating in pieces that explore that. I've done a lot of work and been associated with a lot of different theater pieces, but the pieces that really stick to my heart are the pieces that investigate identity and race, and issues around sexual identity, sexual representation. I don't want to say it's not good if it doesn't force you to learn or think or question, but I kind of feel like what's the point of putting all the resources into a theater production, right? Pulling all the people together, spending all the rehearsal hours, if you're not going to make a real connection about a real social issue that we as human beings always deal with. And don't get me wrong, there are pieces that are kind of fluffy, you know, like the Guys and Dolls type thing, like super cute, right? That are fun and a nice escape. But I have to say that piece, even as a child, really struck me. Now, I learned to appreciate musical theater later. So I actually did like Urinetown, but that is more of a big issue musical. So I think I lean toward issue-oriented work. I want to be challenged and I want to be made uncomfortable because I know that that's the only space I can grow in. So I'm not usually one for the fluff. I'm definitely about, let's get into the deep part. Let's get into Lynn Nottage, you know, and what she's talking about, George C. Wolfe, the Colored Museum, you know, James Baldwin, the Amen Corner.
I was getting ready to name the Colored Museum. Like, I'm going to tell you, if I had to pick my 3, it's a tie between the Colored Museum and For Color Girls.
For Color Girls, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Those are my 2 favorite tie. Then Boys in the Band.
Oh.
And then Dream Girls, which I've seen 35 times. 35 different productions of Dream Girls. It's my
35?
35 times. I've seen the original.
Wow.
It's so funny when I tell people how many people I've seen. I've seen Ross White in it. I've seen Shirley Ralph as Dina. I've seen Lilius White. I've seen Mickey Howard. I've seen so many people in so many different productions. Julia Nixon of Dreamgirls, and it's so funny because I'm always looking at the cast and everybody in the cast. So to see people in these different characters of a play, and to watch them blossom and become these major big stars later, you'd be like, wow.
That's really special. I mean, what about The Wiz, though? Where's the
yeah,
Wiz
well, the
from?
Wiz I love the Wiz. I love the Wiz.
Okay, I love the Wiz.
But Dreamgirls just sold it for me. You know,
Mm-hmm,
talk about Dreamgirls, it just sold it. I love the Wiz, of course, but yeah, maybe Wiz and Dreamgirls. I mean, Wiz would be my number 4. I think 4 or 5.
Well, Wiz centers Black women, which I really love, and just really follows these women and connects to these women, you know, through their story, which is really special to me. I love that for the Dream Girls. Wiz is so fantastical, and I always just feel like, you know, compared to the Wizard of Oz, it's like
it was.
it
was out. When I think about the Wiz, I always think about the costumes in Godfrey Holden, and the stuff that and Dee Dee Bridgewater, and of course Stephanie Mills, the original cast. All these people, like looking at the cast. You know, I am one who is always looking at. Who is that in the background? What is that going on? Or who did the lights? Who did the costumes? I'm always thinking of how all this thought that goes into the making of a theater production. You know, and I'm looking at every little detail when I'm at a theater. I'll be like, who thought about that?
Yeah, because it always has a purpose, right? That's the beauty of theater, is that you get to decide where you're looking. Whereas film, I love film, but film tells you exactly where you have to look.
How about that? How about
the director decides and, you know, tells the editor, this is where I want people looking at, that tear coming down your face right here. Versus in theater, like you said, you can, you know, maybe the star is over here singing their heart out, but you're looking at that person's shoe. Like, look at the detail on that shoe.
Yes.
Because it's so beautiful when a show is well done, all those little details, the setting, how things sort of move, like, oh, I saw that earlier and now it's being used as a weapon. And it's just, all those details are so special. And I love to sit down and like just obsess over those details.
That's that creative mind working, and juices and everything flowing. And speaking of juices and flow, are you working on anything personally, or beginning to, you know, figure it out, or it's in that beginning stage? Just tell us about that.
Well, Baby Sister is one that James Foster Jr. and I sort of pulled together and we've been thinking about how to expand it and how to maybe have some original songs, because it was kind of it's a hybrid lip sync show / musical. And when I was getting some grant funding to produce it for the first time, the grant panel was like, so are you trying to create a whole new genre? And I said, yeah. So, you know, the genre didn't take off yet. It's still in its nascent stages. But I think, you know, I think if I can get Shaquita Lee on the phone, you know, from The Wind Done Gone, maybe we can talk about how we can just get this genre going here. You know,
I feel like it can happen. It can happen.
I think so.
Anything's claim it in 2021.
That's right. That's right.
And for those watching, how can they follow you? How can they get in touch with you?
So I have a website. It's my name, thembiduncan.com, THEMBIDUNCAN.com. And that's where you can sort of get a sense of who I am overall and sort of all the things that come together to make up me. But I actually live in Buffalo now, and I work as an arts administrator in Buffalo, and I pursue my own as well.
How about that? And that's wonderful. We appreciate it. And I'm just so happy that we had the time to just sit and just talk, and I call it fellowship.
Yes, I love it. I'm so grateful that you took the time to talk to me. I feel incredibly happy just to see you and to share this time with you. So thank you, Rayceen.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And most of all, thank you for watching.